I just want to do something that I'm going to commit to.
I'm so compelled to share, to pull other people out of their situation.
And I'm giving hope to women just like me who, probably felt unseen.
It's just about finding what you love and what you're passionate about.
Do what you love. Do what you love.
And I really realized that this is what happens once you let go. You just create all that space,
It's about helping each other. It's about growing with each other. It's about being true to self.
To whom much is given, much is required.
You only ever have one obstacle, and that's yourself.
To commit to change, change your life, change your future.
Hey, and welcome to the Commit to Change, otherwise known as C2C podcast, that gives a voice to the people who may be considered a small fry in their industry, but are doing big things in their communities. Once a month, the Commit to Change podcast likes to feature special edition guests that are considered to be an expert in the industry, have created a business with physical expansion, and have taken their commitment worldwide. I'm Miss Nikki, the Jane of all trades, but the master of living. I am committed to introducing local VIPs, vivaciously inspiring people to encourage you on your daily journey, as well as let you know what is possibly happening around you in your area. Now, I mentioned about the special edition guest because guess what? Today is a special edition episode, and I have the distinct pleasure having a wonderful, wonderful woman who has been an inspiration, has changed the trajectory, if I can get the word out, of my life forever, Miss Lisa Lieberman-Wang. Say hello.
Hello.
All right, so let me give you a little more insight on her. So like I said, her name is, I said Yardley. I talked about your husband. My mistake. Excuse me, let me correct that. Lisa Lieberman-Wang. I'm so used to, you know what, you guys, okay, anyway, let me go into that. She is a business and life strategist. She's helping entrepreneurs to create a multiple 6- and 7-figure businesses. She's supporting professionals, $1 million organizations to level up themselves and their business. Featured on TEDx and regularly on ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, and the CW. Recently ranked top 25 leading women entrepreneurs. Woot, woot. She is #1 international best-selling author of Brand New, Become the Expert, and Fine to Fab, which I have a copy. Yes. She is a co-creator of NAP, Licensed Master NLP Practitioner Trainer, and leading expert in neuroscience and human psychology. She personally has done over $60 million in sales. Yes. And she has led her own business organizations to over $100 million in revenue. She has coached thousands of highly successful entrepreneurs, business leaders, and managers in their marketing, sales, leadership roles, relationships, and mindset. Woo! That is a mouthful. Welcome again to the house, Miss Lisa Lieberman-Wang. Woo!
Thank you, Miss Nikki. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to share.
Yes, I'm so happy to be happy that you're here. So please let our audience know what makes Lisa Lisa.
Well, first, it's Lisa Lieberman-Wang. I'm the only Jewish Chinese woman with that name. And the reason everybody gets my husband's name in there, so you're not the first to do it, is because my husband Yardley, who I choose to call handsome, everybody else calls him Yardley, is usually attached to my hip. So we're very happily codependent. So people usually put us together. What makes me me? Just the tenacity to always succeed and to do even more every time I take something on. And that's who I am.
All right. We love that. Well, thank you for being you. That's actually hard these days for people to really live their truth.
Yes, it is.
So I have a question. What is something unique about you that people may have never heard?
Well, something unique about me is that most people do not know that I was a professional ballroom dancer. And I used to work for Arthur Murray's. And I was teaching ballroom from 18 to in my 20s. And I used to compete.
Okay. So tell us about one of your, I don't know, your best competition.
Best competition. Actually, when I was competing with my students. So I used to train them and get them to be ready for competitions. We would be dancing at the Playboy Club in Great Gorge before it was Vernon Valley in New Jersey. We'd be traveling all over the world and competing under different, through the Arthur Murray Dance Studio, different organizations and stuff like that. We'd be competing in different dance groups. So I did that for many years.
Wow. Yeah, I definitely didn't know that. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you so much for sharing that. So tell us a little bit what you do now. How do you help people?
Well, you know what? I found that there's a lot of incredible people out there. They have goals, dreams, they aspire for more, successful in their own right, but sometimes not with themselves. And no matter how great they're doing, I think today most people, because of social media, are living with imposter syndrome, thinking, well, maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was, or so-and-so is probably doing better. We're voyeurs looking at what everybody else is doing online, comparing ourselves to them. And there's a lot of people that are already more than spectacular, more than enough, and feeling they're not. And what I've been doing for decades now is helping build people in business. But specifically for the last 10 years, I actually been helping people go from fine to fab. So fine is how I used to feel, which was effed up, insecure, and erotic and emotional, to fabulous, awesome, beautiful. And after people start feeling fab or fabulous about themselves, what would end up happening is to start looking at their business. And the reason it always starts personally with you is because you are your business, especially for the solopreneurs, the mompreneurs, and all the others. You're your business. And if you don't get out of your own way, you don't have a business. So once we get all that stuff in line where it needs to be, I've been helping entrepreneurs create multiple 6- and 7-figure businesses. I have part-time moms, meaning part-time entrepreneurs who are full-time moms, that today with COVID, they're kind of like back in kindergarten or 3rd grade with their kids. Now they're co-teachers and everything else. But I have people part-time making $96,000 a year, working 15 hours a week. I have people who are literally in 5 weeks of working with me making $72,000. This is all during COVID, when everybody's saying there's no money, people aren't making money out there. But really understanding who you are, what your unique niche is, how to really stand out from the crowd and be the expert. And that's where the Brand You Become the Expert book came from, how to create more sales, more clients more often. You know, it's like there's a lot of opportunities out there, but people are suffering from marketing myopia, which means they're all holding a sign saying, you know, I'm a coach, or I'm a fitness expert, or I'm whatever, but everybody else is holding the same sign in their industry. And they don't know how to separate themselves from there. And how do you do that in the way that people will come to you and you can charge more and be in a niche market where people identify, raise their hand and say, Miss Nikki, I need you. Like, how do you do that? Most people don't know how. So what they do is they suffer from mediocrity and they're trying to build their business. They're trading time for money instead of knowing how to leverage it. So I'm helping them package themselves, brand themselves, market themselves for more sales, more clients, more often.
Oh my God. So now you have to tell us, how can we jump on that? How do we get a piece of Miss Lisa? I want to take my business to the next level.
Well, first off, you got to start with identifying how you serve people. Stop making, when we look at what we want to do, most people's challenge is they look about how much money I'm going to make. Get the money out of the way. In other words, pick a number. I want to make X amount of money. Don't worry about the how, just decide what. What is it you want to do? The why is more important than anything else. You've heard the expression, the bigger the why, the harder you try. Well, The why is a really big thing. The how will come. But when you shift your mindset to how can you help people, and instead of saying what you do, but I help, when you understand how to help people and you make your focus about them, not you, the first thing is you took yourself out of the equation. When you take yourself out of the equation, then you're no longer the holding block that makes it why things don't happen. You know, where you're worried about being perfect, or you're perseverating over getting it right, and you don't take action, or you're procrastinating. As soon as you get through all that stuff and make it about serving others, business becomes easy. So that's the first thing. The second, we need to create a confidence formula that makes you know that you're unique, because there's not one person like you, there's not one person like me in the world, there's not one person like the person listening to us. Each person is unique. And when you start realizing that you have gifts no one else has, then how do you give your gifts to the world? How do you share them? And then how do you share them in a way where people recognize that you're different, that you're unique, that they need you? And you have to do it by your messaging and have that strategy and that trajectory to know this is how I'm going to do it. This is the course I'm going to go. And you do that by identifying who your ideal client is, to know your avatar. And I know people have said it before, but most people don't quite get this, because I say when you know your avatar, you know them so well that if you were to go to the police and give them a dossier on them, they can find them in the crowd. And if they can't find them in the crowd, you did not do a good job at identifying your avatar. I know my avatar very well. She's 45 years old. Her name is Samantha. She makes six figures into a regular corporate career. She wants to transition herself into her own business, but she doesn't know how to do that. She has concerns about being an imposter. She's so smart. Her top needs are growth and contribution. She wants to help the world. She'll be there for everyone else, but when it comes to her, she's a little bit like, maybe, is that selfish? It's not self-love. I don't know if it's me. Her kids are already out of the house, and she's finally saying, it's my time. I want to take care of me. She's either in a loveless marriage or she's already divorced, and she knows she can be even more, but she doesn't know how to do it. That's my Samantha. She actually owns her own home. She likes nice things. She's not buying the best of the best, but she's buying quality. She knows how to do that. She knows there's a future. She's so much about giving and wanting to make a difference. She doesn't sit in the car, driving to work, listening to the radio. She's listening to a podcast, trying to learn to be better because she thinks she's never enough. When you know your avatar so well, you know where to go to find them, you know what they're listening to, what they're doing, what keeps them up at night when they go to bed and they put their head in the pillow, what are they worried about? And then you become the person that solves their problem. When you solve their problem, then there's no one else to go to other than you. So it's identifying what they want, not what they need. There's a very big difference. People buy for emotional reasons and justify on logic. Find out what they want and give it to them. When we do that, then people will always want to come back to you. And that's an important piece. My business has grown. Every single business we own has actually continued to grow every year through referrals, because we understand what people want and need and we give it to them. The other piece is that each business I have, and I have 4 now, has done 6 figures the first year. Now, most people don't make that within the first 5 years, they say. The average person takes about 5 years to make 6 figures, and every business I've started in the last 2 decades made 6 figures the first year. And people will be like, and I still have the businesses. I didn't start and get rid of them. We found a need and a want out there, and we just started another business. So whether we ended up having a web development company or helping people personally or helping people professionally, or we started an NAP Leadership and Coaching Academy teaching people how to be coaches and giving them a business plan around it. So each one was a need and a want that we knew that we didn't even start the business till we had clients who said yes. When you understand what people are looking for and you can deliver it to them, then you have a good model. Most people have this great idea, I'm going to go into business, but they don't even know if anybody's going to buy. Why don't we test it and find out if people want this? Because here's what they'll say. Well, I know, Miss Nikki, they need this. Well, a lot of people need stuff. It doesn't mean they're going to do it. We can look at the world and know that we are in the United States and we are the fattest country in the world, also second to the UK. So now we have people that need to lose weight. Hear my word need, right? So we know people need to lose weight, but when do they lose weight? When they want to lose weight. Right. So my mom was 265 pounds and she needed to lose weight. She was only 5'5.5". She needed to lose weight. She was become diabetic. She was having all these challenges. Her sight was being affected. You know when she lost weight? When she wanted to lose weight. That's when she lost weight. And the interesting thing is she's lost 135 pounds and she's kept it off now for almost a decade. But it didn't happen because she needed to. It happened because she wanted to. We need to find out, because people will spend money when they want to, not because they need to. And when you are working with people, you need to find that sweet spot between the need and want, so that that's when they're buying. And when we do, when we can be the service provider for that, we'll build big business. And that's the key thing for business.
Wow. So all of my listeners, I know, like, just from that alone, you know, she knows what she's talking about. So that is enticing enough to say, I want to work with Lisa. Thank you so much for sharing that. And not to take away from your book covers, but can you please put them both up again?
Oh, both of them?
Yes, wait, I need to pin your video. Hold on. Okay, so I want you guys to look at that. So Fine to Fab, we have a sexy woman on the cover. Awesome, love the cover. And I've never seen on the right-hand side or your left, I've never seen the icon, like the people icon like that. She's got hips. She is sexy. You got sex appeal on both covers. I am loving that. And they say you can't judge a book by its cover, but it's sexy. That means there's some sexy information in there. That means there's some really valuable golden nuggets. Get them both. When you're listening, please go get them both. We're definitely put those links in there. Thank you.
Actually, I'm giving this one away for free, and all you need to do is cover the shipping. If you went to Amazon, it'd be $25. You go to brandyoubecometheexpert.com, you get the book for free, and you just cover the shipping when you get there.
Yes, I'm getting mine. Yes, put it in my Find the Fab. I love it. So, Lisa, what was your reasoning for, like, dedicating your life? Why did you choose to dedicate your life to helping others and changing other people's lives?
So I don't think I chose it. I think it chose me. And I think that comes with years of just living life. I personally have succeeded in business all my life. I've been really blessed, but I didn't succeed personally. And what I mean by that is, as successful as I was hurting myself. I ended up with an eating disorder. I was bulimic, a compulsive overeater, binge eater, and I was binging and purging 18 times a day easily, consuming over 18,000 calories a day. Wow. And I ended up with a sudden heart attack at 18, was in and out of hospitals for 13 years, 6 times. And it was a doctor friend of mine who introduced me to Tony Robbins and said he can help you. And I went to a UPW fire walk, ended up in VIP, was walking next to Tony, and I said, will this help bulimics? I had no idea who he was, what he was, where I was. And all I knew is Dr. Debbie Turner said he's going to help me, so I'm going to go pay for him to help me. He never answered I said to him, will this help bulimics? I actually was walking next to him, asked him the question. He just stared at me, didn't answer. And we did the fire walk, and I ended up continuing on the journey there with him. And during that journey, I ended up going through all of his mastery programs. And at one of his programs, they were looking for someone suicidal. And I never raised my hands, but I did fill out a form that actually kind of gave it away of where I was at. And as successful as I was on the outside, I was dying inside. And I know there's a lot of other women. That's why my heart goes to the women, although men are there too. And I've been told that for decades. But there were a lot of other women that were very similar to me. And I thought I was terminally unique, like I was the only one this way. So looking at me now, you'd say, oh, she had a charmed life. And most people think that. And that was not the case. I was date raped at 16. I was attacked by an employer at 18. I was attacked by an associate at 19. My dad was verbally abusive. I wanted to check out. And I didn't know how, so I used food to stuff the feelings where other people do different things. Today I have 27 years of abstinence from hurting myself. And I had made a decision after Tony chose to help me. I decided I was going to continue to volunteer and serve this man. And I've been serving him for 27 years now. I went back as crew, and then as senior leader. I became a platinum partner, was mentored by him with my husband. We traveled around the world and studied from everyone he ever mentioned in his books, and spent over $1.3 million learning from them. And that's just on me. We're up to 300,000 just for Yardley. And then I'm a trainer for him now. And that's volunteer. That's not like, I don't get paid any good money to do that. That's a volunteer position, but there's only like 100 active trainers in the world. And I do it because I feel like somebody reached their hand out for me. I'm supposed to do that for other people. That's why I do it.
Wow. You have me. That's, to me, I think that says a lot about who you are as a person. And thank you. Thank you for listening to the doctor. Thank you for taking that step. Because we need you. We need you here in the world. And congratulations on your 27 years of not hurting yourself. Congratulations for 27 years of working with Tony. It says so much about your character, the root of what you do, and you're in a place where, like, you can say, I've been there. You know, there's no excuses. I've been there. And one thing that is very significant in what you said is the suicidal part. And that's very significant in my life. And one of the reasons why I call myself a life master, because people can look at that like, life master, what kind of skill does she have? Well, the one good thing that I have, or the one thing that I got really good at, is living life. I'm mastering the art of living, because that is something that I fight for every day. Everything that I do is to keep me alive. So me helping other people, me uplifting other people, that's life for me. You know, being active, staying physically active, you know, working on my mental health, everything, that is life for me. So to know, like, you were in that place at one time and someone was able to get you from there. I know how it is to be in the darkness, and I know how it is to not see anything that's happening around you, because all you see is that darkness. And you don't want to, you not that you don't want to see the light, but it's hard for you to see it. So and when to come out of it, a lot of times it takes the personal work of the person itself going through it. And one of the biggest things that I'd like to also teach is that for those who are dealing with someone in that position, not to carry the guilt and the weight of not being able to help that person. It really takes that person to be able to say, I need to change my life. I need to start walking to that little flint of light that I do see in the distance, and move forward and kind of have that aha moment and come into their place where they're ready to be healed or to move to the next level. So thank you for also being a representative of that. And it's also like kind of a weight to carry too, when you are being that representative and making yourself vulnerable to other people to know that about you. But do it in such a way where you are helping save lives. So thank you. If I didn't say thank you enough, thank you. So you did mention that you had other businesses. I would love to hear, like, your very first business experience.
Well, I either have to tell you about my first carnival that I started in my parents' backyard when I was 13 years old. That would be my first business. Or it'd be my first real business when I was 23 years old, and I had a computer consulting company. And I was working out of my apartment, and I called the college I went to, Adelphi University, and I called the head of the department and telling him that he held my hand for 2 years and that I wanted to take him to lunch, and I was looking to get their business to sell them their computers. And he showed up and it wasn't him, it was somebody else. And we laughed and he became my client, and I was doing 6 figures in sales to the college that I went to just because of a lunch, and did that for years. And that was really cool. And then I ended up having 7 employees. I called it adult daycare, and we were selling point of sale systems for 2 kinds of businesses, video companies at the time. They had video, and also like the Jiffy Lubes and the auto spas. We created a software package, was doing LANs, which is local area networks, and computers and everything else. That was my first company.
Wow. That's very okay. So then I have to ask.
You didn't see that one coming, did you?
No, I didn't. And I'm actually going to follow up on after I say this next question. But do you feel like that experience, even going back to 13 years old, has helped you in your business today?
Well, the 13 or the 23. My mom she's retired for over 21 years, but my mother owned a barber shop and a men's clothing store. My grandfather owned a hardware store and apartment buildings. My other grandfather owned parking lots and a shoe store. My great-grandfather owned a bar and grill. My great-uncle owned apartment buildings and laundromats and other stuff. And my dad was a corporate guy, so he didn't have that. But I grew up around entrepreneurs not knowing it. And I think what it did help me do is understand business. My mom actually worked in her business versus on her business. She was successful, but she worked 6 days a week. She didn't know how to leverage. She couldn't leverage her time. She had a lot of employees. They stole from her. They did all the other stuff. So I saw what I didn't like in business. And then I had my Uncle Herman, who was this multi-millionaire. And you never would have known it, wore a plaid shirt, drove a Volkswagen, totally not Richie Rich, like I saw in the cartoons. So I was like, you can't be a millionaire, because I was young and I met him. But what I learned is about leverage, and that really woke me up to something different and understanding. So that was one of the interesting things when I got introduced to direct sales and network marketing, because I understood the idea of leverage. You know, a lot of people do a little bit. So that was really big. And every business I've built in my lifetime has come off the fact of how can I leverage not just my efforts, but others. And so I became a top income earner in a direct sales company that I've been associated with for a couple of decades. Yardley and I are the top 1% in the world in the company. I became the top website salesperson in the world. And to this date, no one's ever sold as many websites as I have. And I've trained over 125,000 people on how to sell websites and build themselves and build their business. And the piece that's out there is that I think that we are some of the whole. It's all these little things I've done to get where I am that's given me the strength and the knowledge to build what I've been able to build.
Wow. And you know, my next question was actually going to be like, where did you get your entrepreneur spirit? But you answered that.
I certainly did.
So what do you think, what was your biggest obstacle when you started your first business? How did you overcome it? And then what would you consider your biggest obstacle since you've reached the current level of success, and how did you overcome it?
Well, I think the first business, like I said, I was 23 years old, and I actually had that business for several years, and I burned out. And the reason I burned out is because I didn't know what I know today. I didn't know how to delegate. I didn't know how to automate. I didn't know how to eliminate. So I was trying to be jack of all, master of none. Even though we grew to 7 people plus me, 8 people, I felt like I had adult daycare. I'd be, somebody didn't show up. I'm crawling underneath computers and fixing things that aren't my job, not necessarily my forte. And so I think the understanding how to leverage and not try to be everything. I created a rule that if it's under $25 an hour, it's not my job. And I teach my clients, if it's under $25 an hour, it's not your job. And I have clients that say to me, if it's under $500 an hour, Lisa, it's not my job. I go, I like that one too. So I think that's one of the first things, is to know what to delegate. And it doesn't mean you're just delegating it. Take the time you have and do something that makes you more money that you're really good at, than do things of majoring in the minors. So that's a big thing, is automating, delegating, and eliminating. What was the second part of the question about now?
The biggest obstacle since you've reached your current level of success, and how have you overcome it?
Okay, so now, we went from one business to 4. We also went from 6 figures to 7 in some of the businesses. And I think the biggest obstacle still happens is even where I saw my mom is getting caught in working in the business, not on the business. And what that means is that when if your business requires you to run, then you're in your business. When you're working on your business, it runs without you. And a lot of people relate to Rich Dad, Poor Dad with Kiyosaki and Sharon Lecter, where they're teaching, leverage, the cash flow quadrant. And they're still self-employed, is still working in your business. When you actually have a business that works without you, then you're either an investor or you're an employer, like you're in a different category. And most people don't know how to get there. So we're there in a couple of our businesses, but in my newer one, which is my name, which is Lisa Lieberman-Wang Business and Life Strategist, in that even though we have 13 employees right now, I'm still in the business. And we've been working to change that. That's why I keep hiring people so I can kind of give them my job.
Okay. So what have you, people say that when you climb the ladder of success, like it's a lonely world, so a lonely life. What have you seen has been the biggest shift that you noticed in your personal relationships, family, friends, as you've climbed the ladder of success?
I never heard that it's a lonely life climbing the ladder. And I guess I didn't hear that or know it that way, because for me, I have raving fans helping lift each other up. So for us, I've never been lonely. And I think the biggest part that makes it work that way is I have surrounded myself with some of the most amazing friends in the world that are also entrepreneurs. And each one of us totally support each other in a way you would never be able to get anywhere. And I think it comes from being part of the Tony community, the Tony Robbins community. One of our best friends, and we're godparents to his children. I met at an event, at a business mastery event in California, and we have been friends for 10 years because of that event. And he has the largest wellness, health and wellness practice in Jersey, like a 10,000 square foot facility, the whole thing that, I never would have had that connection or help. And met one of my business associate who I wrote the book with Willard Barth as well, who is a business consultant for decades, and like just having the right people around me. So like that ladder wasn't lonely because I've surrounded myself by other great people to help me.
Wow. Okay. So what drives you to show up every day? Like, what is your why? You talk about knowing your why. What is your why?
Well, my why is simple. It's to touch more lives than Oprah by helping people who help others. That's my mission. And every single day, it's not about me. It's about helping my clients reach their mission, their purpose, their vision. And to do that, it lights me up, makes me happy.
So who would you say has been your biggest supporter throughout your entrepreneurial journey?
Well, I have to say my husband right now. Anything I decide to do, he supports me. It doesn't matter. I do stuff that totally would make people's heads spin. You know me, Nikki, from another business I was involved in, and here we're top of the game. We're out there doing amazing, and I turn around one day, and I wake up. I had one of the trainers in Tony Robbins when we were traveling to Egypt with the Platinum program. She said to me, I was playing small, and I said, I've never played small. And she says, yeah, you are. You're supposed to be helping women. And I said, I teach people how to make money. She says, no, you're supposed to be helping women. And I balked and said no. And a year later, I woke up, and Yardley is downstairs, and of course I call him handsome. And I get up in the morning, I come downstairs, I'm on the top of the landing, he's down at the stairs, and I just come down, I go, handsome, I said, I'm supposed to save lives. I said, I don't know what it looks like. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but you need to take the company over. I'm not going to do that other stuff anymore. And this is what I'm going to do. And wow. I think I had to pick him up off the ground. And then after I did, I said, I said, I promise you it's going to be bigger than anything I've ever done before. And he just like, okay. And he just supported me all the way. And I literally dropped everything else we had. And we still have the web development company for 18 years. We still have the direct sales for over 20 years. And Find to Fab started back in 2011. And I wrote the book in 2012. And he just was there to support me. And we built it into something bigger than we ever thought possible. And it put me on the trajectory of everybody's radar, where it put me on ABC, NBC, CBS, and everything else. And I fulfilled my promise.
Wow. And you see that too from the times that I've, been around you guys. Like, you see that he is definitely like that person supporting you. He's like in the back, but he's in the front with you at the same time, So I love that, like, between the two of you, just seeing that dynamic. I always enjoyed seeing that, because you don't always have that, especially as a couple. Sometimes there's the dynamic that, there's the envy of like, oh, why isn't it me up there? But the fact that you guys support each other, I absolutely love that. And that you're still doing that, moving forward. Like, I'm like, yes, thumbs up.
We're coming on 22 years now. This year's 22 years we're together. So pretty
wow.
blessed.
Thank you, handsome.
Yep.
So how has owning a successful business affected you mentally, physically, and spiritually? Because a lot of people are not able to balance all of that. So how has it affected you?
Well, I think it's affected us in a great way. One is that I think that you have to lead and you have to succeed so other people see they can too. And I'm a big proponent of leading by example, not do as I say, not as I do. So leading by example makes it a must that we have to be doing it to let other people know they can. And, we also thank God for everything we have, in the sense that when I just started to build this, what most people don't know is, although I've been very successful and I did share, I was hurting myself at one point. We also had done, well, we meaning I at the time before I met my husband, did really well for myself and was a millionaire at 30, and at 40 I lost it all and I had to start over. So I think the fact of having balance and understanding that if you've done it once, you can do it again, and we did, and today we're worth more than we ever were before, and grateful that we are in a position now to help even more people. And I think that that's important, is just to, live in gratitude. I think that's where we come from, it's where I'm fortunate for everything I have, and I can't wait to help other people get what they want. So. Wow.
So how do you move through something like that? Like, I'm in a position where now I'm starting over. I was not a millionaire, but the idea of having to just start over in general, like, how do you get the fortitude to move on, like to just say like, okay, I'm here, I'm accepting, but this is temporary, I'm moving, I'm gonna, make my place again, or not sulking. Like, how do you navigate that?
Well, if you remember, one of my expertise is understanding human psychology and neuroscience. What it is your unconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what's real or vividly imagined. So if you tell yourself something often enough, you'll believe it's true. When we lost everything, we were $500,000 in debt. We had just put our pools and waterfalls and gazebos and cabanas in the yard. Everything looked great. And then all of a sudden, MCI WorldCom went bankrupt. And that was my 401k and my ESOP and all the other stuff. And then I was in .com companies. So when everything crashed in 2008 or 9, I lost it all. And then of course, they declaring bankruptcy because they embezzled. It turned out that we lost it. So it wasn't that we didn't plan. It's like that was not something I did. And then 9/11 happened. So Yardley lost his contract after 9/11 with PwC. And we had to start over. And what I know is you can't move forward looking at the rearview mirror. So for us, it was about seeing the future in advance. And that's something to write down for anyone who doesn't know how to get out of something. If you keep trying to look back to figure out how to go forward, you can't. So what I did from the very beginning is I kept seeing the future in advance. So I knew we'd be out of it. I knew that there'd be a day where there'd be no debt. I knew there'd be a day that we'd have our wealth built back. I knew there'd be a day where we would not have to worry about how to pay our bills. And there was. And my only focus was not on me. It was, how do I help other people get what they want? Then I'll get what I want. And I just made that my focus. And I made it every day. I got up, and it wasn't about me. Because if it's about me, I'm stuck. I'm in trouble. But if I make it about other people based on my personality, I'll do more for others sometimes than for myself. Then I knew it'd show up.
Wow, that's so true. That's so true. I always ask people, like, why is it that you do more for your boss than for yourself when you're the boss? You know, it's like, it's very interesting how, like you said, psychologically, like that works. I'm not into that, so I don't know how that works. I'm going to trust in you and your knowledge of that. But I just see what it is, and that's how I understand. But so some people, when becoming wealthy or wealthier, they may indulge in guilty pleasures. They reinvest in their business, they donate to organizations, or save and put trusts up for family. How do you choose to use your wealth?
Well, I actually have a 501c3, which is the Fine to Fab Foundation, where we help minors, women, and disabled avoid years of shame, blame, and therapy. So we have that organization now. I think it's like 8 years old. So that's one way. The other thing is I've been volunteering for Tony Robbins for 27 years. And that's a lot of time because I give him a month a year, which is a lot of my time to give to anyone. And that we don't get paid. So that's costing me not creating revenue elsewhere. So that's one of the things. And my other time, when we don't have the situation we have now with COVID, I love to travel. So that would be my preferred things. We've traveled around the world. 1 year alone with Tony, we did 100,000 miles. We went to everything from Israel, Egypt, Cabo, Fiji, New Zealand, Australia. And then, that was just 1 year with him. I can't remember, there's more to it too. California and Sun Valley, Idaho, and everywhere else. And then just recently we went to Italy and Scotland and Ireland and Greece and Rome and all these other places. So anything that lets us travel makes me happy.
Wow. Yeah. and I only can relate on Italy because I've only been to Italy, but I absolutely love the pizza, the best pizza ever. But hopefully we could talk about Greece later, because one of my best friends is from Greece. So I told her we're going to go over there. So, but I love traveling too. It's really nice just to see how other people live. Yeah. It's eye-opening. It's eye-opening. So how do you feel that you're adding value to your community?
Am I adding value? Well, I think I'm adding value to the community by all the volunteering I do for the Tony World. That's where I feel like I add the most value. And I've been on so many events. We had an event for 24,500 people. And on that event, those people who bought tickets, most people had more than one person in the room. So it's about 50,000 people. So I'm constantly adding value and helping and supporting people every single day.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you for adding value. All right, so here comes the lightning round. So I'm going to ask you 5 questions, and you just answer what comes to mind. Or if it ends up being longer, it's fine. It's okay. We are open and welcoming of your thoughts and ideas. But all right, you ready?
Yes.
Okay. What initially, if anything, held you back from starting your current business?
Initially held me back is actually I had another I was in another business that I was in the direct sales industry. I had seen a lot of people not succeed, which as I did succeed, and it bothered me. Mm-hmm. And I got concerned what if I go to help people and what if they don't get the success I want them to get? So that actually stopped me from starting because I like to win and I want other people to win. And I was feeling very responsible, like what if? So that almost stopped me.
Well, we're glad that it didn't and that you're here. I'm going to tell you again, thank you. What is the best advice that you have ever received?
I think, well, I've gotten a lot of great advice. The best, I don't know if it's the best, but it's one I love, is do your best, forget the effing test.
I love it. I love that. That didn't fly in high school, but I love it. Can you please share a personal habit that contributes to your success?
Yes, it's the same thing I teach my clients for Find to Fab is I think that every day I wake up and I ask my clients, when you show up at your personal best, what's unique and amazing about you? And to have 50 affirmations. So what makes me show up the way it is I am telling myself every day how amazing I am. So I'm fabulous, awesome, beautiful. I am amazing. And I have a whole bunch more. And I say it so often, my husband hears it and he believes it. So it's really good. And it helps me stay on course.
All right. Thank you. So what book would you recommend to the C2C audience and why?
It depends on for what. So the two books they all should get would be the Find to Fab and Brand You Become the Expert. Go to findtofabbook.com or go to brandyoubecomtheexpert.com. And the other books that I happen to love is The 4 Agreements. Is an awesome book. Also, if it's for business and understanding a little bit more about marketing, Donald Miller's Story Brand is the one, and he also has Business Made Simple. I've been trained by him. I've gone through his programs. I love those. Keith Cunningham has a great book called The Road Less Stupid, which is really understanding finance and business and knowing how to really run a business. And I've listened to over 500 books on tape. So you're asking me a question that I have to figure out and search how many I've listened to. Yeah, those are some great ones.
Okay. And I've never heard of those on the shows, on the past shows. So thank you for a new list of books I got to put on my, I usually do audiobooks. So thank you. I'm going to put that on my audiobook list. So now here is the deep, juicy question. If you found out that you had 1 hour left to live and you were given the opportunity to share one final message, what would it be?
I think that's easy. I'd say learn to fly, and that's first love yourself.
Wow. Yes. Love self. That's big. And learn to fly. With wings or how are we flying? I'm kidding.
It's the acronym. First love yourself, fly. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that for us. I'm a jokester. So do you have any upcoming programs, events, or projects that you would like to share with our audience?
Absolutely. I have a new book that I'm writing called Mastery to Millions, and it's your one conversation away. And it's learning how to craft your message in your conversations to be able to make the register ring ka-ching. And that is going to be coming out probably in a couple of months. It's in with the editor right now. And I also run different programs around that on their online programs, teaching you how to create your own programs, craft your own signature talks, signature programs, scripts. I even give $1 million scripts on how to enroll people into your services, and pretty much hand-holding. So if there's an interest, just go to lisaliebermanwang.com and check me out. Follow me on social media everywhere. And we can, if you have an interest and you are serious about investing in yourself and investing in your business, then you can go to callwithlisa.com and you'll fill out a form, an application. If we feel we can help you, then you'll have that call with me. And that's a $750 value.
Wow. Thank you so much for your time today, Lisa. It has been a blast. You've given a lot of, like I said, golden nuggets, and I know our audience will appreciate that to see just the different levels of where or what success looks like. So thank you again for being a VIP guest on the C2C podcast. And I do want to thank all of our listeners for tuning in. We hope you feel inspired to keep moving forward towards your goals and stick with or make a commitment to change your life. Please make sure to check out the links provided by our guests and share today's podcast and information with anyone you feel may benefit from it. And remember, in order to get to the top of the steps, you have to take the first step. But just don't step on anyone on the way, because you just might trip. This is Miss Nikki. Till next time. Bye.
To commit to change your life, change your future.